I don't usually cry, but whenever I imagine myself having a child, I feel like crying. Whenever I imagine myself having a child and I'm staring into their naive eyes, I feel like crying. Because I would imagine all the things that people go through in this realm. And I'll be like, they don't know that they can go through these things. They are looking at me as if I'm their hero. Like I know what I'm doing. Like I wouldn't bring them into a world that is evil, into a world where there's diseases. Like I wouldn't do that. Like I wouldn't bring them into a world where there's famine, into a world where there are wars, into a world where there's violence, into a world where there's poverty. Like I wouldn't do that. They look at me like I'm a hero. They look at me the same way that if Jesus existed, the same way that a person who truly believes in Jesus will look at Jesus like he knows everything. He's always had a plan. He knows what he's doing. Isn't that how we look at our parents when we're still young? You don't assume that your parents don't know what they're doing. You don't assume that your parents do not know what is going on. You assume that if your parents don't give you answers to the questions that you have, they just don't want to give you answers, or they just don't feel like you're ready for the answers. You don't assume that they might actually not know what is going on. Imagine looking at your child. Your child is naive. Your child is 4, happy, because they've never had any real problems. They think that it only gets better. And of course, it's natural to assume that things get better. Your child won't assume that things will get worse. Like things can actually go downhill. Like they are, those are their best days. They won't even assume that. That your children won't assume that their childhood is actually where they will hit the peak of their happiness. And it's all downhill from there. They'll have to compete with other kids at school. Deal with bullying, relationships, breakup, being hated for no reason, diseases, feeling alone, seeking validation and not getting it, wanting things that they cannot have. They'll deal with failure, betrayal, and things might never end up working out for them. They might end up dealing with envy, wishing that they had things that other people have, wishing there was someone else. As we get older, we do not experience the level of happiness that we used to experience when we were younger. It's like as you get older, your level of happiness drops every year. When you were 5, you were so full of life. You had this spark. You always wanted to have fun, you know, like not a lot of things bothered you. But as you get older, because you're experiencing things that are so bad that you can't even forget, these things make you look at life differently. I remember one of the people that I looked up to when I was growing up was my uncle. I have an uncle who is like me in so many ways. He knew how to rap, he was interested in music, he was different. I mean, still different. I used to look up to him a lot when I was growing up, and I would be so free around him. I'll talk to him about anything, like anything, things that I can't talk about with my parents. If I had a crush on a girl, I'll be telling him about the girl. Like, there's this girl, I would tell him everything, like everything. I was very young. I'll tell him everything, even things that he thought I didn't knew. They thought that I didn't know. I would tell them and be like, "Hey, this kid is like 8 and he knows all this stuff. He's not supposed to know this stuff until he like reached the age of like 14, 15. So I look up to him. I remember one day, I think it was 2000 and I think it was 2010. I think it was 2010. He came home with his friends. Because I was like, me and him were that close. We'll talk about anything. We'll make fun of each other. I think I said something that pissed him off. But I wasn't saying it to him. I said it to his friends. Like, that's my boy. My uncle. He's my boy. Blah, blah blah. Like, but I wasn't being disrespectful. It's just the kind of relationship that I thought we had. Like, it's all good. So then when my uncle went to his friends, I don't know what they told him. When he came back into the house, he slapped me like, "Bah, why did you tell these guys?" And I was shocked. I'm like, is this my uncle? Because I didn't look at him that way. But since that day, me and him have never been close, right? Since that day, I've never had like our relationship went downhill from there. You want to know why? Because that traumatized me. And I think it's the same with life. When you're still young, you're so excited. You know what I'm saying? You're like, this world is good. This world is great. And then, boom. And now you're traumatized. Like, wow, stuff like this happens. Maybe you get very sick and you have to see many doctors and you're in so much pain. If you heal from that, you won't look at life the same way, because you already know what's possible, right? You get involved in car accident, you lose your parents, stuff like that. It messes you up. So as you get older, you lose that spark that you used to have because of the trauma that you get to experience. I think it's like that for many kids, except for the kids that experience hell from the beginning, because that happens. So they never get to have good moments in life. It's just hell from the beginning. So when I imagine myself having a child, I genuinely, I can't even explain the emotions that I feel. It's not the kind of emotions that I usually feel, but it does make me feel like crying. Like, wow. I ask myself how people who have children feel when they look at their children. You see your child playing alone in their happy, and you're like, this child one day they'll be sitting alone asking themselves what went wrong. I mean, things do go right sometimes, I guess, but for most of us, things don't go very well. And even if things do go well for you, there's it doesn't mean that you feel like, oh, this is like I'm good, like I don't need anything else. So I don't know if people have children, so sometimes don't think about these things. Like, yo, this child is gonna grow up one day. They'll experience what it's like to get their heart broken, to be cheated on, to be bullied, to be laughed at. What it's like to want what you can't have, to want something your whole life and never get to have it. What it's like to not be treated well by the world. What it's like to get sick. What it's like to be in a hospital. What it's like to be afraid of death, to be afraid of losing what you have. I remember one of my worst fears when I was growing up was having a disabled child. And I would be paranoid. I don't know why. I'll be thinking, what if I'm gonna have a child that's disabled? How how am I going to feel? When I always be in pain because I'm thinking about the experience that my child is having. Like I was that kind of a person who would think about all the things that are possible. I wouldn't only think about the negative things. I'll also think about the positive things. I'll also think, hey, if I had a child, I would I would actually try to figure out what they interested in, and I will try to help them turn that into a career or something. You know, if they're interested in singing, I'll try to help them. If they're interested in DJing, I'll try to buy them the things that they want. If they're interested in boxing, I'll try to train them when they're still young, because the greatest that out young, like Mayweather, Tank Davis, all these guys, Khabib, they started when they were really, really young. Do we really think about what it really means to have a child? Or do we tell ourselves that we're making copies of ourselves? As if that child is going to experience life the way that I've experienced it. Maybe the way that I've experienced life isn't that bad. But if I had a child, I know what kind of life they're going to experience. What kind of life that that children are going to experience, because most people have, will have children. Like, there are very few people in the world who don't have children, like, who don't get to have children, except, unless maybe they die before they have children. But generally, almost every person that can have a child will have a child. So I'll think about my bloodline. Like, okay, if I have a child and they have children, and their children have children, and their children's children have children, that's too much suffering that I would have caused. I wouldn't have caused suffering for one person. I would have caused suffering for many people who will be born because I also decided to bring someone into this world. Doesn't mean that if I had a child, my child will reach the same conclusion that I've reached about this realm. What if my child ends up believing in things that I don't believe in, and they end up thinking that I'm toxic and I'm evil for thinking the way that I think, and they have children and they talk about me with their children like, yo, your granddad was depressed, he was a nihilist, he was actually evil, he was a sad old man, he didn't want me to have you, he said that the world is evil and all that. Do we really ask ourselves what it means to bring someone into this place that we don't really understand, that we can't control? Like, we're too powerless. I think that's why we live in fear. We're powerless. You look at the way things happen in this world, you're like, I'm just lucky that I'm not in jail. I'm just lucky that I'm not in a hospital. I'm just lucky that I don't have a terminal illness. I'm just lucky that I'm not blind. I'm just lucky that I have legs. I can walk. We're not in control. I'm just lucky that last night someone didn't decide to break into my house. I'm just lucky I have food. We're not in control. And we don't really understand what controls this place and what is its intention. We don't know why we are here. We don't even know what this place is. Shouldn't we be scared to have children if we don't know their fate? We don't know how life is going to treat them. Thing is, we already know how things are in this world. I already know how things are. I know people can get bullied, even if they're good people, even if they've done nothing wrong. You don't have to be a good person to be treated well. You don't have to be a bad person to be treated bad. People can treat you good even if you're not a good person. People can treat you wrong even if you're not a bad person. It's the world that we live in. When I see people being bullied, I'm like, that's someone's child. That child had hope. They thought that the world was a wonderful place. Now they're being bullied. They've not done anything to deserve getting bullied. The world is just cruel, and we are not honest enough about the level of cruelty that we have to deal with as sentient beings. There are a lot of things that we don't even talk enough about. When kids are being bullied, we just act like that is normal. Like, we don't come up with real solutions. We just tell the kids that are bullying other kids, that, oh, bullying is wrong, bullying is wrong. Like, do you know that you can ruin a person's life by bullying them? And they end up, like, you find that it's all downhill from there, and you go on to have a good life, and they suffer all their lives, not forgetting what you have done to them. You will forget everything. You forget how you treated them when you were young, all the things that you said to them, you forget, but they won't forget. You find that they don't get to be anything in life, and they continue to suffer because of that. That's how unfair life is. There's no such thing as cosmic justice. The world is not going to look at your child and be like, yeah, his father died when he was still young, or his father was broke, or he was not treated well, this and that happened to him, so he must be compensated. The world doesn't work that way. There's no cosmic justice. A person can suffer until they die. For real. They can actually suffer until it's over. So if I don't know what this is, and it doesn't seem good, isn't it a loving thing to do to not bring a child into this realm? Why would I feel like that is a good idea? Looking at all the things that are going on, what would I be bringing my child here for? Like, what is it that they will be missing that is truly worth experiencing? Like, what are the greatest things about being alive? The music, friendship. The music is good. Friendship, that a lot of people suck. It's not very easy to have good friends, and a lot of people change. People can change on you. Sometimes you can have friends because things are going well for you, but once things start going bad for you, then people still leave. So I don't know what is truly worth experiencing. Love, family. What is truly worth experiencing that I'll be like, yeah, I have to bring someone into this world so they can experience this. It seems like a lot of the things that people experience are things that they don't even want to experience, because they're forced to do things that they do not want to do, work jobs that they hate. When we were still young, we had to go to school even though we didn't want to go to school. We had to do homework even though we didn't want to do homework. We had to be in class, listening to teachers teaching us about things that bore us to death. You have to do classwork, you have to study, all of that. Like, really, did we live our lives for us? Does it feel like we lived our lives for us? Like our existence was really about us? What is it that they will be missing? Because this really does seem like a scam. It really seemed to me that everything in this world is actually a scam. Like, there's nothing that is not a scam. Everything. Like, try to think of something that is not a scam. I mean, money is a scam. Education system, scam. What is it? 9 to 5? Scam. Relationship. You might be like, oh, what do you mean relationship? Why do people fall in love? Do you think that people can just love you? Male or female, do you think that a person can just love you? If you want to know that love is a scam, think of a person who's like you but who doesn't have what you have, or who is in a situation that's worse than yours. Is it easier for them to find love? Think of if you have a job and you're making money as a guy. Think of someone like you who doesn't have a job, who's poor. Are they shown the amount of love that you're being shown? If you're a girl, you're good looking. Think of someone who is as kind as you are, who's as nice as you are, but who's not very good looking. How are they being treated in relationships? It's a scam. All of it is a scam. Church, religion. We're not even being given the truth, bro. They don't give us the truth, but like, this is the truth. We have to study, different religions, and we can tell that the people who are telling us to study their religions want something from us. Like, it isn't about them helping us find the truth. You might find that a pastor wants members. He doesn't want to only have 20 members because he want to make money, right? Uh, in Christianity, you pay tithe. You also, there's time for offering, right? Like, it's weird actually. Like, so just be like, yeah, now it's time for offerings. Like, it would be beautiful if I was a pastor. I think it would be better to just preach if I felt like what I was preaching was the truth. And if people want to give me something, they give me something because they feel like what I'm giving them is of real value, right? But to say it's time for offerings, I don't know, man. Like, everything is a scam in this world. It seems like people don't genuinely care about one another. People want to use one another. To think of the fact that there's been such thing as slavery in this world, that makes me sick. It's like that was possible. Like, that really did happen. Humans owned other humans. Like, they used to buy humans. But like, oh, look at this one. This one is tall, strong. It's very expensive. Like, it's gonna cost you a lot, but it's worth it. They can buy you. You're not free. You can be owned by another human. And to be free, you'd have to buy your freedom. You need to make enough money to be able to buy your freedom. But like, yeah, I'm literally giving you this amount of money so that I'll be free. As if you sign up for that, you'll have to work until they say, okay, now it's good. Women, they didn't have autonomy. I think slave masters cared about autonomy. Don't look at. I think back then they'll actually, like, when I think about, hey guys, but it's crazy. Think about it. Slave masters will also buy women. But like, this is my woman. They can do whatever. Think of that. Think of, but still, slaves didn't mind having children. They believed that they were doing something that God wanted, without even realizing that, oh, the same people who are telling me about God are the same people who are not treating me well. We need to think as rationally as possible if we want to end suffering as a collective. If we don't want to suffer unnecessarily because we caused our own suffering, I do like the fact that I'm not going to suffer because I brought someone into this world. That's another way for me to try to minimize my suffering, because there are a lot of things that you go through also as a parent. Your child will cry every night. I remember when my sister brought my nephew home, he would be crying. My room wasn't very close to my sister's room, but I'll hear him crying and I'll be like, how are my sisters sleeping? Because he's crying, and he has a lot of needs. Sometimes she'll have to wake up and breastfeed him until he sleeps. And if he wants to wake up, he'll wake up. She'll have to be quiet. You can't even play music. She'll have to be buying pampers, all the stuff that the child will need. And as the child grow older, there will still be a lot of things that he will need. If the child gets sick, hospital, money, doctors, you know what I'm saying? It's not like you're gonna be like, yeah, that's a child. You've done something good because you brought a child into this world. So if your child is sick, the treatment is going to be free. It's not like that. I I do think about his safety all the time. My nephew, because he's my only nephew. I do think about his safety. Like, is he safe? Is he safe when he's at school? Like, so I can imagine how it would be like for a parent. You have a child. You're always asking yourself if they're safe. When they're sick, you have a big problem. Like, oh, what can I do? My child is sick. What can I, you know what I'm saying? It's suffering. It's better to only worry about yourself and be like, oh, I only have my problems to worry about in this room. I don't know what's going on in other people's life, but I only have my problems to worry about. Because in a world that you do not own, you can't predict what's going to happen next to you or to the people that you love. And if something happens to the people that you love, you don't know if you will be able to help them. They will have their own problems, they will make their own mistakes, and that will affect you. I don't think we think enough about what it really means to have children. This world is not what it seems. I know that the reason why I decided not to have children is because I hate this realm. But I have good reasons to not love it. It's not like I just hate it. There are a lot of things that I've seen that made me go like, nah. There's no child of mine that's gonna go through this. I'll go through it because I'm already here. And at some point, you stop feeling sorry for yourself. I remember the time that I genuinely felt sorry for myself was when I watched a video that was recorded. I think it was recorded in 2001. There was a ceremony at our school. I saw myself in that video. I was standing alone. I almost cried. I felt sorry for myself because I remembered everything that I felt that day. Everything. And I'm looking at myself now and I'm like, whoa. The things that I've had to go through since then. Because as a kid, I didn't know that things can be bad, you know? I'm thinking, yeah, I might not really be enjoying this very much, but hey, things are gonna be good. Things are gonna be well. I'm definitely going to enjoy this at some point. I'm gonna be an adult, and all of this is gonna make sense. But then you become an adult, and you're like, what the hell? Why does it seem like I was brought here to suffer? Because sometimes it seems that way, right? Sometimes I think we have normalized suffering so much that we think it's okay. Like it's okay to suffer. And I think we really do feel that way because when we're not suffering, you kind of feel like something is wrong. Ever um, find yourself in a situation where everything was good and nothing was going wrong? You find that a week has passed without anything going wrong. Like things are good. And you started to feel guilty. You started to feel scared. You started to think something bad is coming. I know something bad is coming because this is not what I'm used to. Because when things are bad, because it's something that you're already used to, it feels normal, right? But that feels different. It's unfamiliar. The feeling is unfamiliar. You don't even know whether to embrace the feeling or to be scared. Ain't no love here. Many people are full of hatred. They just act like they got your back like a wheelchair. It might sound like I'm being negative when I say there ain't no love here. Many people are full of hatred. They just act like they got your back. But really, isn't that what is true? That people actually act like they got your back because that's what seems okay. But if you truly hit rock bottom, that's when you'll see that no one really has your back. Like if you hit rock bottom and they've nothing to gain from you, because people are focusing on survival here. So when people help you, they expect you to be able to help them in return. It might not be today, but in the future you might help them. But if you truly hit rock bottom and they look at you and be like, this fool ain't gonna be able to turn his life around, you'll see the true colors. That's when you'll be calling people and they're not picking up your calls. That's when you go to their houses and they open their windows and be like, oh, is that fool? And then they close their windows and they go to sleep, you know? Or tell everyone to keep quiet until you leave. When you truly hit rock bottom, that's when you see that, oh, shit, I was alone the whole time. Imagine if I brought you to this stupid red race where you be chasing money, boys, girls, every day, chasing love like you know what it is, like it's not just a chemical reaction that compels you to breathe. Imagine if I brought you to this stupid red race where you be chasing money. It sucks that we have to chase money. It's not something that you get without having to do a lot. Now, in my country, a lot of people have to wake up in the morning and go to work, come back home tired, and not even get enough money when they get paid. Find out they wake up at 4, they have to use the train because they can't use taxis. They can't use a taxi because taxis are expensive. They don't. Sometimes they don't have food. Yeah, it sucks. You find that you don't even have food, bro. You know what it's like to not have food at work. You look at your superior and they they're eating nice food. You have nothing to eat. You're just hoping that they will call you and be like, "Oh, you don't got food, or here's some leftovers." And you have to work, and you have to work harder than them because, well, they rely on you. You don't have to do much really. You're basically their slave because you have to do all the messed up things that they're not gonna do. They just be making decisions. They're just watching what everyone else is doing. They're like, "Hey, you, why are you resting? You, why are you on the phone? You, are you working? What have you done today?" It's life. Be chasing boys. You don't even understand your feelings. You know, you're this young woman who doesn't even understand her feelings. So you see that handsome guy and you're like, "Oh, I love him so much." And then there's this one who actually cares about you that you don't love. You love that one, and then he play you and it breaks your heart. You don't even understand why it's like that. It's nature. Survival of the fittest. Nature doesn't care about you, your feelings. He just wants you to keep the cycle of suffering going. You see that cute girl, you feel a lot of love for her, but there are women who care about you, genuinely care about you, will do anything for you. But you were lucky enough to find yourself having money and it blinds you and you marry that woman not realizing that you're not even a type. She's gonna turn her back on you one day when it benefits her. And she realized that, oh shoot, I can make money if I leave this fool. She starts cheating. It leads to a breakup. She takes half your stuff and she lives a good life. It's nature. Like we know what love is, because love makes us feel good. We tend to think of it as something I don't know, something divine, right? You'll be having like 3 or 4 kids. You're not together. The kids are confused. They have to pick sides. Now there's a guy involved. Is their stepdad. They like him more than they like you. They think you're a loser. Their mom poisoned their minds. It's difficult in this realm. You know, the problems that people have to go through are very difficult. So it makes you ask yourself if it's really worth it, or we're just doing what other people are doing. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people who have kids, if they could reverse time and make and be in a position where they can do things differently, they will not choose to have children. It's one of the reasons why we have children is because we think that our children are going to be special. Because as a human, you look at yourself and you're like, I'm special, and that's how you're going to look at yourself, right? Even if you're suffering, even if other people are not treating you well, there's a part of you that's going to be like, I'm special. So if I have a kid, they're going to be special. But then now you have a kid, your kid is 20, you are 45, and you look at me like, will they have a good future? They're not doing very well at school. There's no talent. They're there, with you, wanting things from you. You know, you find yourself regretting now. It's not easy to have a child that's going to change the world. Not every person is going to have a child that's going to be Nelson Mandela, that's going to be Mayweather, that's going to be Conor McGregor, that's going to be Trump. I mean, maybe it's easy if you really have money, but in general, your children are, in general, most of the children being born are going to be doing the same things that everyone is doing. You know, it's not easy to have a kid that's gonna be like Tyler. South African, South African artist. How many South African artists have been able to make it internationally? It's rare. It isn't something that we're used to. It doesn't even. It doesn't even like come back here a lot. I guess she's so used to what she's getting now. But yeah, it's not easy to have a child that's going to change the world. And even if you do, it doesn't mean that your life is going to be bad. I mean, Eminem's mom, she's the one that gave birth to Eminem, but is she really happy? Is he taking good care of her? There are a lot of mother, like parents who gave birth to children that actually became very famous and rich, when they don't really care that much about their parents. They don't even check up on them that much. If you ask them, hey, when last have you spoken to your kid? They'll be like, yo, 3 months ago. You're like, what? Is it really worth it? Or what's best is to just try to live your life, try to understand what this is, try to make the best decisions, try to minimize your suffering. Try your best not to suffer while you're here, because you are here, right? You might not have chosen to be here, but you do have a choice. You can choose not to bring more people here. Be like, okay, I am here, I am part of this. Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but I do have a choice here. I could bring more people that are gonna come and deal with the same things that I'm dealing with, or I'm gonna be like, nope, I'm not sure about this. Now look at my situation. I don't even have a lot of money. Maybe it would be nice. Uh, Sometimes I do wish this was possible, right? Maybe it would be nice if you became a millionaire. Like you became extremely rich and you had. I'm not saying you should have a child, but I'm just thinking about this. So, and you had a child, and your child, you're taking care of your child needs, but they don't know that you're a millionaire. They don't know that you have a lot of money. So there are things that they want that are not getting. Oh, maybe you make sure that they're getting the things that they need, like everything that they need, they're getting, but they're not. They don't really have money, and then when they reach the age of 30, you're like, you deposit 40 million to your bank account. Maybe that's what will make anyone happy, I guess. Like out of nowhere, there's 40 million in your bank account. You're like, what? They'll be like, yo, actually, we were rich since the beginning, but I didn't want you to be spoiled. I wanted you to live like a normal life, and then. Now I can imagine that it will bring some Maybe it will make a person like happy for a while, I guess. Like out of nowhere, you have 40 million in your bank account. Maybe that feeling. As I remember when I was young, my parents used to tell me that 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 they were saving money for me. So when I pass grade 12, I'm gonna have money. When I go to university, I'm not gonna have a problem. And I passed grade 12 and there was no money. I was surprised. I remember the first thing I wanted was a laptop. The reason why I wanted a laptop is because I wanted to install a program, like a program that I can use to produce music, right? Fruity Loops. So I'm like, okay, great, because I never had a computer in my life, but I'm like, yo, I want to start producing music now that there's money. And then my dad is like, you have to choose between a license and a laptop. I'm like, what the hell? I'm supposed to have a laptop. I've never used a laptop. Of course, I'm going to need a laptop because, you know, at university, of course, they use laptops. I need to know how to type. I don't even know how to type. And I remember my dad would call his friend and be like, this fool, he's choosing a laptop over a license. It's like, you have to have a license and a laptop. I'm not, but then it's a priority for now. It's a laptop that's a priority. I don't need a license now because I don't have a job. You get what I'm saying? So I don't have a car. So why do I even need a license for right now? And I find myself arguing with my parents as if I'm stupid, but I knew what I was doing. The funny thing is, my sisters, as soon as they passed grade 12, they got a. I have three sisters. The first one, as soon as she passed grade 12, laptop. The second one, okay, it's different because she kind of like not really passed very well, so she had to go back. But my dad ended up realizing that I was right, that a laptop was very important because they use laptops nowadays in universities. So if you've never used a laptop before and you have to do your work, you don't even know how to type. You're gonna be like J E. You're typing like that. Of course, you're gonna fail because you're not gonna. You don't have enough time to be typing like that. But yeah, I could imagine that. I could imagine someone told me that, hey, your dad actually saved up a lot of money for you. I mean, maybe that would make me feel. But yeah, yeah, man, this world is not what it seems. We need to think thoroughly about everything. We should stop letting other people control how we view the world. We must view the world from our perspective. I must view the world as Benedictine. Look at my own experiences. What have I went through as Benedictine? It shouldn't be about what Nelson Mandela went through. I'm not Mandela. Mandela was worshipped by people. He was loved by people. Even though he got locked up in prison, but he might have lived a better life, like more than a lot of us. So yes, of course, he's gonna worship this realm, but life isn't treating people the same. Not everyone is Nelson Mandela. Not everyone is Eminem. Not everyone is Jay. Not everyone is Trump. Not everyone is his son. We are experiencing life from our perspectives. Some people lived in poverty their whole life. They do think they do want their lives to be better. They do have plans, but they don't know how to make things work out for them because this realm doesn't it's not gonna just give you what you want just because you want it. It doesn't work like that in this place. So it's better to think thoroughly about everything. I'm glad that there was a day when I thought about having children and I was like, nope. Especially growing up in a place where like where everyone wants to have children, right? No one where I live is like child free. Like you're gonna meet a person and be like, I'm child free. Not where I live. Unless that person is gay or is a lesbian, but in general, you're not gonna meet a person who's child free where I live. Everyone wants to have children. It's considered a good thing. It's something that you get praised for. Like if you have a child, people are gonna praise you because you have a child. We don't think about what it really means and the challenges that the child might end up facing. That's the thing. And I ain't too proud to tell you that I cry sometimes. I cry sometimes about it. And this really hurts, but if the world was perfect, we would make it work, but I doubt it. Yeah. I cry about it sometimes, and I'm like, if only the world was perfect. You know, we were programmed to want to have children as humans, to find joy in that. And I thought that I would find joy in having children before I realized that the whole thing was a scam. But now that I realize the world is evil, I'm like, no. If the world was perfect, then yeah, maybe I would. Maybe I would have tried. Maybe, but it's not perfect. I don't know what it is. I don't know what created it. I don't know what controls it. I do not know how to make things work for me. I don't know how to reverse time. Like I don't have power here. We're powerless, man. We just have to experience this without even understanding what it is. Having too many questions with zero answers. That's how we're experiencing this. Of course, I don't think this is beautiful. I think it's not what it seems. We just don't want to be honest about it. I'm so happy that I do not have a child. I'm genuinely happy that I don't have a child. I didn't bring a person into this place. This doesn't mean that I hate children. I don't hate children. I treat children very well. Like, very, very well. I care about children, but I don't want to have a child of my own. I don't want to I don't want to be responsible for someone's suffering. I don't want to be responsible. I want to be responsible for reducing someone's suffering. Meaning that if I see a child that's suffering and I try to reduce their suffering, that will be better. But I don't want to be responsible for their suffering and the suffering of their children and their children's suffering. I don't want to be responsible for that. It doesn't feel right. It's not something that I can truly, that I can explain or justify. I can't imagine what it would be like for you being brought up in a world that doesn't care for you. If I love you, tell me why would I do that to you? This world is so cruel. I wouldn't lie to you. This place was good, I would have invited you. You don't see it, but I'm saving you like heroes do. From traumas, from headaches, from heartbreaks. Oh, forgot the lyrics of my own song. From traumas, from headaches, from heartbreaks. Whatever, fake outbreaks. And the real ones too. It's better where you are. I know it's tempting, but never be tempted to come. There's nothing real here, kid. All we do is lie. And we lie to ourselves the most. That's how we got here. Like there's nothing real here. All we do is lie. We love to lie. And it's something that we're very good at is lying. We lie to ourselves the most. And that's why we keep on making mistakes that don't make sense. We lie to ourselves the most, and that's how we got here. And the longer we stay, the more lies we invent. This world is a mess. Everyone can tell. So I ain't creating no slaves for nobody. I'd rather speak the truth and save you with no word. Because in the end, if I had a child, will that child really be mine? Or the child will be a slave of the system? The child will be controlled by those who are truly powerful. Those who have power. Those who know some things that we don't know. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't mean that I'll own my child and I'll raise them the way that I want to raise them. I'm a slave to the system, so my child will automatically be a slave. So I ain't creating no slave for nobody. I'd rather speak the truth and save you with no worry. Thank you all guys for watching this video until the end. Like the video. Tell me what you think about the video. Share the video. Subscribe to the channel. Let us. Oh, we're very close to hitting 13,000 subscribers, which is crazy considering how the whole thing started. So thank you guys for this level of support. It really does mean a lot. Thank you guys.